Osama Nazzal is a Palestinian journalist and radio host who also worked for the Voice of Palestine and other Palestinian newspapers in the occupied West Bank. He joins me now live from the city of Jenny. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? On the one hand, Israel has announced a large-scale invasion of Rafah, but on the other, it continues to attack places where people are fleeing to. Hundreds of thousands of people have already fled Rafah for places like Deir al-Balah, but even Deir al-Balah is coming under Israeli attack. So I think it's fair to say that nowhere within Gaza is safe.
Without any doubt that since the start of the Israeli aggression on Gaza, there was no safe area in all of the Gaza Strip. But today, the Israeli occupation plan is clearer than ever before, that they asked the people in Rafah to leave mainly eastern Rafah to central Gaza. They started bombarding Rafah, killing many people, many families, and at the same time, they resumed their attack on the northern part and on the middle part of the Gaza Strip, mainly Jabalia and Ansirat and other areas. This means that the Israeli occupation is planning to force the Palestinians of Gaza out of this strip. Now, the Rafah crossing is under the control of the Israeli occupation forces on the Palestinian side. All the exits and entries of Gaza are closed by the Israeli occupation, and they are preparing the pier or the jetty and getting the people closer to that area. And this could be a sign of the Israeli intention of shipping the Palestinians in Gaza out of their homeland.
Now, Osama, one thing that I would like to understand now is when Israel is done with its so-called military operation in Rafah, what do you think the future will hold for those who are native to Rafah? Would they ever be able to come back to those territories, or do you think there's going to be a new dynamic for the ones who were native to that region?
First of all, Gaza is completely destroyed by the Israeli occupation bombing and missiles, and most of the citizens of Gaza are homeless now, without a roof, without a safe area, without any institutions, even without hospitals, which is the basic right for any human group to have medical centers and hospitals for treatment. So the situation in Gaza is not easy and is not really possible for anyone to understand what comes next, as the Israeli military aggression is at its peak, and the international community, mainly the United States, pressure on Israel is close to zero, as if there is a consensus now between the Americans and the Israelis, keep pushing the people of Gaza to force them out of their homes, towns, and camps.
Right. Now, Osama, I'll tell you why I asked this question, because over the past 6 months or so, I have spoken to our correspondent out of Gaza, and, you know, they were traveling through different governorates because, for example, Israel started its operation from the north of the Gaza Strip, and it came all the way down to Rafah. So when they were operating in those areas, of course, our correspondents were also moving to safer locations. And I remember my correspondents telling me at the time that every time Israel conducts an operation in a governorate within Gaza, that governorate becomes uninhabitable. Rafah, I understand, was perhaps the only governorate within the Gaza Strip which was somewhat habitable for the people of Gaza. But after Israel is done with Rafah, that would essentially mean that the whole Gaza Strip is uninhabitable. There's no way people can live there. So this is why what I wonder, what's going to happen to millions of people who are trapped there?
Yeah, now Israel is using all the bad and the aggressive methods in order to end the possibility of a human life in Gaza. And we all watched today how the Israeli occupation forces deliberately killed an international aid worker. And we saw how the Israeli government unleashed the Jewish extremist settlers to loot and damage the humanitarian aid vehicles bounded to Gaza. So this means that Israel is determined to keep the Gaza Strip empty of the Palestinian citizens. Now, Israel is going to succeed in that if the international community and the Arab and Muslim world keep silent on what's happening now, because Gaza, without international support, even if the war ends now or tonight, without international support, I don't think that the Palestinian citizens can manage to live there, as nothing is left for a human life. So the future of Gaza really depends on the position of the Arab Muslim world and the international community. If the world allows Israel to press ahead with its plan, I think that the people in Gaza are going to have a big problem that is even worse. It's going to be worse than what it is now during the war, because without this support, how can they rebuild? How can they restore their living conditions? The situation is very complicated. It's really gloomy, a lot of pessimism, frustration, and as you said, it is uninhabitable unless they get support from
The
the
international
region
community. Yeah.
and the world. Yes.
Osama Nazzal, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.